The external forces that are playing on the African continent are one of our biggest problems to date. If you look at a country like Congo, if you fly low in the DRC, you're going to see tarmacs in the middle of the jungle. You're going to see 747s landing into the DRC, picking up minerals and flying right out. A lot of the villagers that are getting killed, the multinationals are using local people, paying them peanuts to kill each other just because that particular village is sitting on a gold mine of coltan. They are killing people. It is the multinationals, the external forces that have existed for centuries, who are now continuing to create conflicts in African countries. And if you notice, wherever there's a conflict, it's because there's a natural resource that the outside world needs and wants. And they create conflict. While we are busy fighting and killing each other, they're siphoning the natural resources. Those are some things that we have to be very realistic about. So let's understand our Africa for what is really going on. The external forces, the colonizers, they've never left Africa. But they need to realize that game is up. This exploitation of Africa cannot continue. We understand an unstable African country is a country that's easy to exploit. That simply cannot continue. And the people who can change this narrative are the people, the children of Africa in the diaspora. Yes, external forces are a serious problem for the development of Africa, and they're doing it for selfish reasons. The AU has been very clear. They are defining the African diaspora as all people of African descent living outside Africa. This January, the African heads of states approved a decision which they called R400. R standing for return and 400 standing for 400 years of slavery. They are saying once and for all, they called on the children of Africa, particularly descendants of former slaves, to once and for all accept that Africa is home and that they are ready to receive and welcome their children, descendants of former slaves. So the African heads of states are very clear that the diaspora are needed in order for Africa to have the sustainability and build the Africa that we want. The process of underdeveloping Africa can only be stopped by us, the children of Africa. The brain drain that has happened to Africa, beginning with 400 years ago, when they took the best, the brightest, and the fittest out of Africa, to now those who are leaving Africa in search of greener pastures, some running away from wars, some running away from famine. The ultimate result is that there has been a massive brain drain out of Africa. There are more Ghanaian doctors in New York City than all of the country. There are more Nigerian doctors in LA than in the entire country of Nigeria. That is our reality. So the brain drain must be reversed. And the African heads of states are very clear, and they have made the proclamation that the diaspora must come home. A united Africa, you look, for example, what's getting ready to happen. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a monumental decision that's going to see Africa entering the world market beginning July next year as one customs union. This is something that has never been done in the history of the continent. In addition, in 2018, the African heads of states also approved what they called the protocols for the free movement of people. That is the protocol when ratified. Currently, over 30 countries have signed. We only need 15 of those countries to ratify, and then the protocols will become in force. That means an African can live and work wherever they want on the continent. This is how we begin to move towards a united Africa. It's a work in progress. It's something that is needed. The heads of states are aware of that. But the protocols for the free movement of people are going to be a huge step in that direction when we, the children of Africa, can live, work, and establish residence wherever we wish on the continent, regardless of where you were born. The diaspora must not accept second rights. The diaspora must get first rights. The heads of states are saying, come to the continent, join your brothers and sisters on the continent, as a united front of diaspora and their brothers and sisters on the continent. Be on the driver's seat and be the first ones to receive those contracts. You should not accept a second place. No, your place in Africa is the first place, is the driver's seat. You must drive the agenda. That's why you must not vacate that place that has your name as an African diaspora. Stand up, be united, be counted, and do what is right. It is you who's going to move Africa to the world stage and take her place, which is where Africa belongs. Again, like I said, the protocols for the free movement of people are going to be a game changer. The one area that I think we as a united diaspora must bring to the attention of the heads of states is the inclusion of those who are descendants of former slaves. Currently, as it stands, the protocols for the free movement of people only applies to those born on the continent. The African passport, for example, only applies to those born on the continent. So as we take the issue of the sixth region from the Executive Council, where it needs to progress to the heads of states, so the heads of states can make a decision, how decisions are made at the African Union, issues first of all goes to what we call the PRC, which is the Permanent Representative Council. The Permanent Representative Council is made up of 55 ambassadors from all the countries. They all live in Addis. Issues that are within their pay grade, they address and they agree and they deal with them. Anything outside their pay grade, they pass it on to the Executive Council. The Executive Council is made up of 55 foreign ministers. They too will discuss those issues that are within their pay grade, they address them and approve them or deny them. And then issues that are above their pay grade, they pass them on to the heads of states. The issue of the sixth region, which is all people of African descent living outside Africa, has not gone beyond the Executive Council. It needs to be moved on to the Bureau, to the African heads of states who will do the final approval. My hope and wish is that when this issue is moved to the heads of states, it must clearly state that all people of African descent, including descendants of former slaves, are entitled to the same rights and opportunities as those born on the continent. That is the only area that this decision is falling short. Because as descendants of former slaves, you are here not out of choice. You were forcibly brought here. This is a wrong that the African heads of states must fix. They must address it. And it takes us united. And I can tell you, as a united voice of African diaspora, the heads of states will listen to us. Because that's exactly what they're talking about. That we must unite. And we simply need to unite and simply say, our fathers, you called on us. Here we are. We've arrived. We answered your call, and these are our wishes. And we can accomplish that. But that can only be done when we speak with one voice and address our leaders with our wishes and our desires. The time is right, and I'm sure they will listen to us. If you think about it, we are talking about one Africa speaking with one voice. Why would anybody want to have your own country in Africa when we're talking about one country, one continent speaking with one voice? My hope is when the protocols are cleared and are inclusive of descendants of slaves, African Americans should be free to pick up and say where I want to live on the continent. Why would you want to be given land when me, the continental African, I'm not being given land? It doesn't make any sense. Let's be realistic here. And which president in their right mind will start giving land to African Americans and no land for the people within that country? Picture a situation of an old lady in a village. Do you honestly think someone coming from the United States is more entitled to compensation in the form of land, or some have been asking for mineral concessions and not the old lady in the village? Come on now, let's be practical, guys. If we're going to ask for something, let's be realistic. Let's not come up and go against the program. The program is calling on all of us to speak with one voice and come home to our Africa. Now wanting to further divide yourself, you are feeding yourself into the same mentality from the colonizers, from the slave master of divide and conquer. No, we will not be divided. There will not be a separate country for African Americans. Let's be realistic. In which case you don't support the African Continental Free Trade Area. In which case you don't support the protocols for the free movement of people. Please, Don't allow yourself to be divided. We are done with divisions. We are one people, one Africa. That's the agenda we must push towards, to go home as Africans, plain and simple. Those countries that we have today are a result of the Berlin Conference. It is a creation of our colonizers. Please do not fall victim to that line of thinking. You are an African, go home. Everything is needed. For example, when we are talking about the Wakanda cities, these are developmental hubs. We're going to be addressing issues of access to water, access to power, access to education, healthcare, agriculture, hospitality, infrastructure, basic areas. Every expertise is needed. Every expertise is needed. So think of building a whole new city. Everything you need to build the city of Dubai, for example, is needed. So no one can be left behind unless you choose to be left behind. Absolutely. There's a need. Actually, the group out of Antigua, they have registered an offshore bank, which I hope we can all support. When they are ready, we'll continue to give out that information. I think that would be very important. The Caribbean people are ready also to engage Africa. You take, for example, a lot of their food is coming from outside. A lot of people from the Caribbean have said, Ambassador, we would rather get our food out of Africa. To this day, there is no direct flight from the Caribbean to Africa. Why have we not done it? Our colonized mentality, our mentality suffering from the legacy of slavery, we are waiting for the white men to do it for us. What is keeping us from having a shipping line from Africa to the Caribbean? What is keeping us from taking LIAT, for example, LIAT, which is a Caribbean airline, to have to fly non-stop from the Caribbean to West Africa? We are the ones who are stupid. We are waiting for somebody to develop all these programs for us. We need to begin to own our Africa. Let's come together. Those who have finances, like I said, we are registering a diaspora fund. And when it's ready, which I hope will be end of January, be part of it, contribute to that fund, because it is through that fund that we are going to fund our continental projects in Africa. You need to be part of the Boma link. That is the link that we are going to use to mobilize not only businesses, but also professionals. So when the Boma link is ready for launch, you need to be part of it. You need to register. And of course, you can always reach out to me as we begin to organize. By the way, I'm going to be registering an entity which is called African Diaspora Development Initiative. I'm hoping to launch it on the 18th of December. You need to get involved because we are going to be looking at teams that are going to begin to strategize. And you as a physician, you need to be part of the team that's going to strategize on how we are going to approach healthcare from a regional approach. So yes, there is room for you. I will keep you guys informed when the African Diaspora Development Initiative is launched. As diasporans, once again, the focal point where we are going to converge are the African Diaspora Centers of Excellence, the regional. Be part of the strategic planning of those centers of excellence. I can't say Haiti was voted out per se. I can tell you from the conversations that I've been part of, the issue of Haiti is a very sad situation. Haiti must be part of the African Union. I was having a conversation with the deputy chairperson, who's a very Pan-African man. He feels the same way, that we need to bring our brothers and sisters. Haiti is one of them, even in the Caribbean. We must have stronger relationships, because at the end of the day, these are African children who were brought out of Africa forcibly. So that conversation, I think also we need to be proactive and push it to the extent that we need to. So a chairperson who also understands could pick that issue and make sure that they give it the importance that it needs. It must happen. Haiti must be part of the African Union. Again, this is what I was saying, that when the decision that has to do with the sixth region is currently sitting at the executive level, when it is advanced to the heads of states level, this is where we need to make sure there is language that is inclusive of the descendants of former slaves. Currently, that language that gives citizenship and rights, the same rights as people born on the continent, is not there. So when that language is inserted, then descendants of slaves can now qualify to become citizens. We must say kudos to the president of Ghana. He just issued 126 citizenships to descendants of former slaves, some of them already living in Ghana and others who were outside.